Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we've got an exciting topic to explore, which is IP geolocation. Have you ever wondered how websites can pinpoint your location down to the city or even the street? Well, it's all thanks to a process called IP geolocation. In this video, we'll dive into what IP geolocation is, how it works, its application, and some potential privacy concerns. So let's get started. First thing first, what is IP geolocation? Well, it's a process of determining the physical location, like the country, city, or even the latitude and longitude of a device connected to the internet using its IP address. An IP address is like your digital fingerprint on the web. It can reveal a lot about you, about where you are in the world. Now, let's talk about how IP geolocation works. It primarily relies on a massive database that associates IP addresses with physical locations. This database is often maintained by companies that specialize in geolocation services like MaxMind, GeoIP2, or IPinfo. These companies collect data from a variety of resources, including internet services, internet service providers, mobile networks, or even GPS satellites. When you visit the website, the site can request your IP address. Once it has your IP, it can then consult one of these geolocation databases to determine your approximate location. Keep in mind that this method is not always 100% accurate, but it can get pretty close. Maybe you are wondering, why do we need IP geolocation and what are its practical applications? Well, there are many. For example, personalizations. For example, you're browsing on your Instagram and it's showing you relevant ads about, for example, flights from your country or shops that open in your country, or literally person online stores can use your location to show you relevant products or services in your area. And there's more like security, which whereas geolocation helps you detect suspicious activities like unusual login attempts. For example, if you log in from your device on Google, Instagram, Facebook, it will give you a notification to your email or such about an unusual location, which can help you protect your online accounts. While IP geolocation has its benefits, it also raises some privacy concerns. Knowing that your online activities can be tracked down to your physical location can make some people uneasy. Companies must handle this data responsibly and in compliance with privacy regulations. So let's enough speaking for now. Let's dive into actually creating an IP geolocation or IP finder on Python. So here we just create a new folder. We'll call it RPGeo drag and drop on there. Alright, let's start by creating two files. Miscellaneous, where we're gonna handle our requests and info about our IP address. Call it request there, and we're gonna have our main file where we're gonna have import the OS and need table 8 to make it look clean. And yeah, we need to import our miscellaneous from our miss. And yeah, that's it for now. Let's hope so. So how it works is we're just gonna have run a thread. It will check for the IP addresses. If the IP addresses are valid, it will just do a request and check for them. I will show you how it works. So just have an array, an empty array, all IP addresses, and here we're just gonna run a while true loop where we're gonna request the user input of the IP address, enter the address type, or enter to finish. So you're asking why I have a list here. So make our life easier, we just keep inputting IP addresses here. If it's valid, you just add it will add it. If it's not valid, it will not add it. If we just press enter, which means the user input, just strip it down and it's empty, we'll just break. Else, for example, if not is valid IP, make a new function, and we'll have the user input strip down, or just strip it down. You will see if the IP is valid or not. If it's not valid, my bad, we will just run an OS system. This is just for the organizing the thing. Run it clear, then you will say invalid input and something like please enter valid IP address, and we'll continue. So let's just create our is valid IP function later. Now we'll see if the IP addresses are empty. If this array is empty, we'll say copy this, and we'll say no valid IP addresses provided. Else we'll go on with clearing again, and we'll have our headers. Now we're gonna create our table. We'll just create the table headers. We're gonna specify country, region. This is the info that we're gonna get from the IP address request. Country, region, city, coordinates, the ASN example, the ISP, which provider they are using. Is it proxy or no? And like, is it VPN? Is it a Tor? No. This is an example of what we can get from the IP address. This is the info we can get from the IP addresses. Now we'll just create an empty results table, and we'll need to parse in our IP info and data. So we'll just have an IP info and services. So this is gonna be tricky. So what we're gonna do is name couple of processes that we're gonna do. Like, it's gonna print the process we're doing, but we're not really going to do it, and we will have something like geolocation. We're gonna parse and parse data one. You will see this later on. I'll show you what the parse data one is for. And for example, ISP, ASN, lookup. Clearly, this is parse data 2, and you'll have like four ways of how we're gonna get the info of the IP addresses, and we're gonna proxy VPN check, and we'll have something like saying clearing. The geolocation is gonna parse the data of the main request. We're gonna request the data and IP addresses from the databases we talked about. When we'll just parse in the data here, parse data 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the databases. I'm gonna use 4 different ones. So let's really quick now have for IP address and IP addresses, and for service name and func and the IP info services. This is service name, and this is a function. This is the function we're gonna call, and this is the service name. Now we need the items. We'll just print in service name, and we're gonna add the results to our empty list here. We just results append and the IP address function here, which is literally the same thing as parse data one. For this, we can do the same, but we'll just make it for show. You can do this like results to append, parse data 1, parse data 2, 3, etc., but we'll just keep it like this. I like this better. Now after we parse in all the data in our results table, we'll just print in using table 8. We'll just print in the results. This is our list, the table, and we're gonna use the headers, table header, and we're gonna use a font or format. I like fancy grid. Now since we are done with this, let's create our isValid IP function. IsValid IP try get the IP like say an IP object equal IP address. We not import these. We need to import our IP address. We'll just really quick import the IP address here dot IP addresses, and we'll just check if this is an IP address and return the IP object and in the 4.6 version. If it's not it's not a valid, we'll just pass in an exception value error, and we'll just return like a false. That will do it. Now we need to create our pass data 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're gonna go in our misc files, and we're gonna make parse data 1 function with IP. So what we'll do is run a request. We'll have like our data. We'll run a request dot get, and we'll just f string, and we're gonna use a website like for example IP API, and we're just gonna format as a JSON, and we'll just put in our IP here, and we'll just format as a JSON file, and yeah, we're good. So what we're gonna do is parse in a JSON file. We're gonna get the IP and search it in the IP API website, and it will return in the JSON format the IP. Then we're gonna get the data from that IP. For example, we're gonna get the country, just data.get country. We're gonna get, for example, country. If it's not there, we're just gonna get empty. Region, data for the region. I think it's called region name on the website. Let's open up IP API and I'll show you what we're talking. So we have this website here in documentation. We see how the response formats are. We have our responses here. It's gonna give us the country, region name, but all of this we're gonna use all of these data. So we'll just, like, for example, have this IP, put in this IP, and we're gonna send back this data, the response data. So what we'll do here, just IP API, we're gonna need the region name. It's not available to, we'll just pass in empty one, pass in dash, signifying is empty. Same thing for Olish. I'm just gonna skip through all the get data. We're just gonna get the district. I think it's a district because region name. Okay, here we go. Just subdivision of city. This is all the data we can get. So I'll just skip through and I'll come back later when I'm done. So after I finish, you see here how our setup works. We're just gonna get in the country, the region, we're gonna use the same we're gonna parse in the lat and longitude, same file. We just go and get the information from our request, the JSON request, and parsing it literally, and that's it. And we're returning it in a list. I'm just gonna go look for other websites that provide API information, and I will do the same request here, the parse data 2, 3, and 4, and I'll be back very quick. As you can see here, we just finished off with all our the websites I found. I found a website called ip.who.is and ipinfo.io, and another called IP API. So what we do is just go on these websites and check their documentation, how to use their request, and yeah, that's it. So all we have to do is now go back here. It's showing only ports that I want. It's not showing two. Let me just, I think I mistyped. Oh, I said date, not data. Yep, I typed in date, not data. So one thing I did wrong here is it was IP underscore address here. You just have to change it to IP. And over here we forgot to add in the IP address to our list, to append it to our list. So all we have to do is type in IP addresses, the append, and the user input, and we'll just strip it down. And then all we have to do is run it, and I'm gonna put in a personal IP, and as you can see here, it goes up and it shows a table with all the lists, the info, the country, region, city, coordinates, ASN, ISP, proxy, VPN, and the Tor node with all the data. As you can see, some APIs have data and some not, and they are marked with dashes. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel for more tech and development related content, and as always, feel free to leave your thoughts or questions in the comment section below. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next video. Happy coding!